So I watched Mirror by Andrei Tarkovsky the other day for the second time, and I want to do anything but talk about it. Now that makes it sound like I don't like Mirror, which is not true. In fact, I love it. What I hate is the thought of explaining why I like it. It's not just Mirror that I've come to the realization of this. It's my favorite things in general. Trying to explain why I love something kind of defeats the purpose of liking it. Well, let's use Mirror as an example. I can say that the cinematography is great, which it is. I can say the way it's edited together is fantastic, which it is. I can say all these things. I can say the music involved with it is gorgeous. I can say the dreamlike quality of the way it's been directed and put together is phenomenal, which all of that is. And the very subtle, nuanced performances that are present in Mirror really adds to the film. But that is also surface level. All those things that you're praising are very valid points to make of why you may like something. But I feel like everything like that is also surface level. And it all just disregards any deeper feeling that you may have with it. And I feel like with something that, at least from my personal experience, at least with something that I truly love on an artistic, creative level, I can't explain why those things mean so much to me. And I'm aware that it's very ironic of me to make a video like this based on a channel where my whole thing is I'm talking about how I feel. What I want from your memoir specifically, isn't to be an analytical essayist channel about my favorite things. It's more so just a platform for me to get off anything that I'm thinking. Now, I also want to preface as well, I don't want to say that I feel like any analytical thing, anyone who is making analytical content, analytical videos, analytical written bodies of work about art is bad, and we shouldn't have that. I think some of the best essayists and analysts of artistic mediums are just as important as great art themselves. For example, I think some of the best forms of art and creative media that I've ever experienced have helped me understand, or have helped me think about emotions and feelings and experiences that I have went through in life that I may not be able to make sense of, but watching or listening or viewing great pieces of art have given me the ability to make sense of those feelings. And I feel like some of the best analysts, critics, reviewers, essayists, whatever you want to call them, have been able to do that for me as well, in the sense of I've been able to watch a great video essay about something that I love, and that helps me make more sense of it. Analysts of creative media that I love are people like Patrick H. Williams, Thomas Flight, Stories of Old, Broe Deschanel. Those people, and there's a lot more that I can't think of off the top of my head right away. What I'm talking about is I feel like the need to talk about every single thing just kind of defeats the purpose of most great art. Now, the example I used Tarkovsky's Mirror, which is very much so a film that I think if you try to break that down and make sense of it, you are destroying every point of that film. The whole film is kind of meant to be this dream-like just experience where you're meant to feel it, not understand it. And I know there's other filmmakers like David Lynch that were very open about that, where a lot of people try to break down what does Eraserhead mean? It's like you're watching this incorrectly. Whereas I feel like the best artists and creatives and the best works of art should make you feel something. Feel something to the level of where you can't even put it into words of why you like it or why it's important. I've watched Mulholland Drive once. I've yet to revisit it. I love that film. I couldn't tell you a single thing of why I liked it. I just remember when the credits hit for that film, I was like, well, that's going to sit with me for a while. I've got Mr. Bergman's cinema right here, Ingmar Bergman's cinema. And obviously the cover of this set, you've got Persona, which I think is another great example of, like, you just need to feel what was ever there. This is a little bit more easier to process than some like Mirror. There's a lot more of a constructive narrative in Persona. But I feel like if you finish Persona and then try to go, now what did that mean? What are you doing? Just take what you felt from it and go for it. I'm not trying to be a gatekeeper as well of like how to enjoy art and how to deconstruct and how to process art. But I feel like a lot of people, and I find myself involved with this, when you try to explain something too much, you're it's like milking a dead cow. I'm not trying to be hoity-toity, arty-farty, pretentious and say films like Mirror and Persona are the elitist level of art, and if you don't like it, then you are incorrect. I watched a film last night. It's the first Robert Bresson film that I watched. Balthazar. Watched that last night for the first time. And I liked it. I didn't really love it. I thought it was okay. Am I trying to dissect it and understand why it exists? Not at all. I just let it. I just watched it and just let the film happen to me. And in that occasion, I wasn't swept up with it. But I very much so love that it exists. And another artist and creative that I love for that reason is Ari Aster. I have not disliked a single one of his films. And another film I remember watching Beau's Afraid, again, round about this time of when I was like, hey, I'm not going to rate films anymore. I was getting so sick of like the same kind of film and the same like almost blueprint checklist of what a story should be. And I remember watching Beau's Afraid around this time of feeling those feelings and being blown away by Beau's Afraid. Now, I don't love it as much as Hereditary or Midsummer, if we're comparing Ari Aster works, but I don't think you could watch Beau's Afraid and say that you felt nothing. But also, I don't think you should try to, like, break down what you felt. I think you should just feel it. If I see a video online with a thumbnail and a title that says, Beau's Afraid Explained, in my head, I'm like, wow, you just murdered the point of the film. The thought that comes to my head is like, that's the equivalent of like, if we just saw like, I don't know, an unknown creature that we've never seen in our lives. And it's this, I don't know, like a creature that I can't even explain to you in words. That's almost like an animal. And they just appear and we see it. And there's just something about this creature that's like mesmerizing and hypnotic. And it, instead of just letting it be and go on its way, we then take it and then dissect it and mutilate it and try to go, well, what's inside it? What's this made of? And then what you've got now is just a dead thing. That there is still value in speaking about a film and speaking about a piece of art and why that may touch you. But what I think separates everyone I've just mentioned, all these essayists and analysts of creative media, is that they discuss what they are seeing. They talk. I think this is the best way to do it. Okay, and again, I don't want to go, this is how you should talk about something. You should almost discuss what is seen or heard, what is presented in front of you, and kind of just then say how you feel that plays a part in said creative work. As I said, there's stuff like Mirror and there's stuff like Persona and stuff like Balthazar and even Beau's Afraid, where it's all so abstract and experimental and art house that's like, well, of course we shouldn't try to understand that. It's not meant to. But let me use an example of something that's a bit more straightforward and a bit more traditional narrative based. I'll talk about my favorite film of all time, Her. It is my favorite piece of cinematography. It's my favorite score. It's maybe my favorite screenplay. Overall, it's my favorite film of all time. My favorite scene from Her is it takes place after Joaquin Phoenix, Theodore, goes on a date with Olivia Wilde. And he's laying in bed and he's talking to Samantha, voiced by Scarlett Johansson. We get a close-up on Theodore, on Joaquin Phoenix, as he's laying in bed. And he's talking about just a stream of consciousness of what he's thinking in that moment. And we get interspliced scenes cut together of him either of shots from his point of view on the date of seeing Olivia Wilde. We still hear Joaquin Phoenix's voice over this. And we also see scenes of him either like with his goddaughter, I assume, with, just kind of like living life a bit. And we get Arcade Fire's score playing over it, this piano track. And the combination of all these things of we hear that really melancholic piano tune and we see these images of Theodore living life, and we hear him say, I'm paraphrasing, but we hear him say the line along the lines of, I feel like I have experienced everything I'm ever going to experience. I'm just going to now have lesser versions of that. That's an example of everything that's happening in that scene. I just explained just what is presented in front of me, and what I can say about that is the vulnerability that is seen, that is spoken by Theodore, alongside the visuals of him seemingly enjoying mundane life, adds to this really fascinating contrast of what it's like to just feel down late at night. That's me just pulling something out my ass right there of what makes that one moment so great. And now that's all surface level analysis. What you all didn't see is me diving even deeper down into why that specific scene is so important to me. And now me just saying that will make you now go and watch that scene maybe and go and try well, how does Oscar relate to this? And you'll think about whatever you think about. But what you will think about, you won't be able to put into words. And if you ask me, Oscar, why did that click with you? I'm not going to be able to put that into words. Me trying to put something into words about an emotional feeling is impossible. But all I can say is that meant a lot to me. And I know Her still means so much to me because I watched it, I don't watch it. I went through a phase of watching it very often. But I hadn't watched it in a few years, and I watched it, when was it? It must have been November time, I think. I think it was November. And different scenes become my new emotionally impacted moment because of where I'm at in life in that point. And it feels like just such a personal experience between me and this form of art. I'm not watching a Joaquin Phoenix performance that is written and directed by Spike Jonze, that has a score by Arcade Fire and is shot by cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema. I am watching an independent entity that is now providing me with a very personal experience that only I am able to feel, that only the inside of me is able to express that even my words can't express. And how almost I wish to connect with someone isn't to sit with them and, now let me discuss. Let's break down this thing that I love and that I've shown you now or whatever. I almost want to just like sit with someone and watch or listen, either watch a film, listen to an album, watch a show, play a game. That's really important to me. And then just share in their experience of that and see their reactions. If I showed someone Her, which I have done before, I have sat with 3 other people that had never seen Her. We sat and watched it. And a discussion wasn't necessarily had. I didn't go, now let's discuss this. It was just I heard each of their individual thoughts and feelings on the film, and I just responded to whatever topic they were having from it. And I feel like specifically this analytical, like analyzing art becomes especially more infuriating when people are trying to talk about, well, this is why the artist did this. Where more often than not, the artist, the creator, whatever, aren't that analytical about their own work. Now, I'm not every filmmaker, but I am a filmmaker. And I really enjoy hearing people's perceptions and what they think and what they feel about my films. And I really do enjoy that. So if you're someone that's watched a film of mine and they feel like they've got a theory about it, I love to hear that. But I'm going to use an example as well of a film of mine called Love, Bethany, which is, I would say, probably my most known film. I mean, most of my films within the last few years have taken, I've taken almost a personal experience and put it into something. Some films of mine have been the product of, the story has been a product of an emotional state I'm in that time. When I tell you that Love, Bethany was not narratively inspired by any emotional state from my life, it's true. There was no deeper inner reasoning behind anything that happened in that film. Out of all the films I have made, Love, Bethany might be the most autobiographical film that I've made from an emotional perspective. And now I've only realized that within the last year or so. Do you know why? Because I just wrote Love, Bethany. It just came from my mind and I just did it. There was no sense. It's just how I felt. And it's just what was in me in that point in my life. Me saying those things, you could probably grab Love, Bethany and go frame by frame and line by line and really try to dissect everything that's in that film. And then you go to me, Oscar, so what about this? Is this what it means? I'll just go, I don't know. I feel like you would ruin something for yourself if you overanalyze something, because all you see are just like noughts and dashes. All you see are just like zeros and ones. It's just so mathematical. It's so broken down now that you can't just be taken away with it. And all you would have got, if you would go to me with it and go, is this the answer? I'll go like, there is no answer, because I didn't ask you a question. Again, having theories and opinions and thoughts and verbal emotional feelings about my work, I welcome. Trying to solve it and work out the equation of my films is pointless, because there is nothing to solve. Again, I'm going to go back to my unknown creature metaphor in the sense of, once you dissect something, it's dead. And it can never come back to life. And all you end up with is, oh, I've got a carcass. I've got a lifeless corpse now. Yeah, man. Analyzing art sucks. Thank you all for watching that video. I hope you all enjoyed it. That was a highlighted, cut down version of an even longer video where I discussed more creative things such as Saltburn, Lamb, It's a Wonderful Life, Carrie and Lowell, and even Until Dawn. If you want to watch that version that went over 40 minutes, head over to the R&Q Patreon. That is patreon.com/R&Q, where for £2.50 a month, you can have access to every episode of your memoir in full. Until next week, I'll see you later.